No! No! No!
Horror Pop Extravaganza.
What is up, all of you beautiful souls? This is the first official episode of the Horror Pop Extravaganza for 2026. I hope you had a chance to watch our little brainstorm idea forming episode. But now we're getting back to the goods, man, to the horror and to the well-being. We're going to put them things together. I am always Pops Ghostly. As I mentioned, this is the Horror Pop Extravaganza, and with me today I've got the magnificent, the radiant, just the downright tootiest, fruitiest, amazingest that I've ever known, Lil Duke Spooky.
The Lilist.
Well, I completely forgot the littlest. But the tootie fucking fruitiest. That's that fucking Spalding right there. That tootie fucking fruity, man. We're going to do this thing. That shit was so good. But we are here to do an episode that, we're going to have to get right into because this one has a lot going on. I've been trying to do my best about putting it in the notes, in the YouTube notes description thing, what the movie's going to be coming out for the next week. If you don't, by some chance you missed that part, you only listen for a couple minutes and you're like, fuck these guys. Like, I don't want to listen. No, hopefully you stay and hang out and listen. But this one is one that put me on to a few people. It put me on to the director. It put me on to the two leads, the two kids as they are adults. It put me on to these two. And then it would also put me on to someone who would show back up in Star Wars. And I was like, oh shit, in The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan, which was a character that I always enjoyed from, before The Mandalorian live action. But I thought that she killed it in that live action series. But this is one that I want to say I saw in the theater. Did you see it in the theater?
No, this was definitely a DVD.
A DVD for you?
Probably like a rental from Netflix where they sent it to me in the mail. Yeah.
And now they out there just buying fucking everything. That's what you get, Lil Duke Spooky. For me, you, that's what we all get for renting DVDs in the mail.
I had to rent this one. It's not available anywhere.
What was crazy is I'm pretty sure I have a DVD copy of it down because I have a CRT TV in my tattoo station where I have a VCR and DVD player, and I think my DVD's down there. But I had to pick this one up too. I was just surprised I didn't already own it digitally. I was like, okay, but I think it was $12.99. I wasn't really too mad about it, but I was really excited about it too because I don't know where I've been watching it, but I know I've watched it quite a few times over the years. Many times over the years. And after seeing it the first time, I was just sold. And we'll get into some of the reasons why. I'm not here to say it's a perfect movie, but I'm here to probably make a pretty good argument, hopefully, that somebody might want to watch this thing because, in my eyes, it's pretty cool. So why don't you do the thing? Get your little internet movie database out, come on, hacker man, hack into the interwebs and get the IMDb up. And let us know who made it, who's in it, and what does IMDb think Oculus from 2013 is about.
First off, I had to look up what Oculus meant because I didn't see how it pertained to this movie.
And what did you discover?
An Oculus is anything that is a optical device, or it could also be like an old-timey one of those things. You were in the Navy, remember? What are those things?
Telescope?
Not a telescope, dude. Like, go further back.
Oh, right. Oh, you're thinking like a Captain Hook type fucking...
Like a piratey one.
Old school telescope. I don't know. Small fucking the first version.
Anyway, that would be more of an Oculus device.
But I also think in a religious context, like they talk about the Oculus and some of the, like in Roman shit, where it's like God's eye looks down through the shiny or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think in my understanding, it is just like an eye thing, like
it's an eye thing, but I think they were just like, we can't call it mirror.
Right.
They could have called it Black Mirror.
There was that Mirror or Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland.
There was a lot of mirror stuff going on back in the day, I think. And then I just recently watched the most recent Conjuring, also mirror related.
You're right. Yeah, that one was big on the mirror. But mirror stuff goes back a long way.
I mean,
Like
mirrors
your
are creepy, dude.
reflection.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, your reflection getting like trapped on this other side, this parallel something that's there. However, the movie mirror in today's movie is pretty fucking cool. The laser
It
glasses.
is cool. I'd have that
Like,
in my house.
yeah, I don't know. After
It would look
seeing
good behind you, dude, right there, right next to your
now, Mikey's
HPE.
all of a sudden alive. Sam's getting ready to go, like, in the Navy. We can have a good time. So, why don't you break it down?
Let's get
Oculus,
to it.
IMDb, let's get to it.
All right. This was written and directed by an up and comer named Mike Flanagan. And since this, Mike Flanagan's done a thing or two.
Crushed it across the board, dude. Especially with his Netflix stuff. The Haunting of Hill House, the Bly Manor thing, Gerald's Game, some other, I think he did another Stephen King thing. He's done a couple Stephen King adaptations, but the guy has a great, he did Hush. Hush was dope with his wife.
Oh, I didn't see Hush.
Oh, Hush is cool, dude. I think you'd like Hush.
Nice.
He did that one, but really, if I see his name on something, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna give it my attention because I feel he's earned that over the small amount of time that I've known this dude as a filmmaker, having that type of relationship. But in this one, and I went back and watched. So when I bought it on Apple TV, it had the extras, and I was like, well, I paid $12 for this. I'm going to see whatever little extras they got. And they had the 30-minute short that was called Oculus Chapter 3, The Man with a Plan. Thing was done on a shoot. I mean, like no budget, dude. Zero budget, but the concept was there. And it was kind of neat. And you could see the early inklings of somebody who had an idea of, this haunted mirror. Some of the dialogue almost seemed exactly the same as far as the history of the mirror. It came from here and then it was lost and then a shipwreck and blah, 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 blah. But please, I know I keep saying continue and then I keep talking. I am so sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. We forgive you. Everybody wants to hear what Pops has to say about this.
I don't know about
All
that.
right. So the star of this movie at the time, didn't know who she was, but I remember her sticking in my mind. And I was like, wow, this girl's got something. Maybe she's going to do something here in the future. And that is Karen. Help me out here. Gillan?
I always said Gillian, but I'm not sure because
I do too, but it's not spelled like that. But
Yeah.
I think it is Karen Gillian, but better known as Nebula or the foxy chick from Jumanji.
anything she is in, she's great. I kind of like you. I saw this first time and I was like, I don't know who. And Brenton.
Hey, we're not there yet.
I know, but the same feeling as I'm saying. It was the
Yeah.
same kind of a feeling where I was like, yo, these cats got some talent. Like these two can carry and go back and forth and make and we'll get to all that. But yeah, go ahead. She's amazing. Amazing.
She's so good, and it's crazy when you find out when you hear her really talk, not using her American accent. I mean,
Right.
she's like hardcore Scottish, like
Right.
almost hard to understand Scottish.
right. Which is
So
great.
it's
That's
so weird. Yeah, it's amazing. And then
talent.
she just has this amazing voice. Brenton. Now this is another one that's hard to say. Thwaites, Thwats, Twats.
I remember me and Phil having this conversation on those movie guys, and Phil said, I really hope it's Twatties.
I hope it's dude. If
I
it's
hope it's fucking Twat.
Brenton Twatties, that's
I always
hot
said
fire.
I thought it was like Thwat. I don't know 100%, but I know dude was Dick Grayson in the Titan show, and I really liked him in that. And it was after this I was like, oh good. And then I started looking at his more recent filmography and shit, and dude's still doing. Or he's been in stuff that maybe I haven't seen, but I know it was a big, release or something.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
go back and I see him, and I'm like, oh shit, there's Dickie Grayson.
Right.
And you've already mentioned this one, Miss Katie Sackhoff, playing
Yes.
awesome as the
Crushes.
mother in this. Dude, so
Has
good.
to go through some shit, dude.
Really. And then we've got the guy playing her husband, Rory Cochrane, who I know I've seen this dude in a bunch of
Right.
stuff too, and I can't place him, but he just kind of has that bad guy flavor to him,
Right.
but also plays a great dad at the beginning.
And that's the thing is everybody in this, you know, plays it well. Even the two kids, the younger versions of the kids.
The two kids, dude, I really want to give them props. I normally don't read kids because it's just like, they're just kids. They didn't do shit. But these two really nailed it because they had to be like normal kids, brother and sister, which is hard to pull off. And then I really feel like kids pulling off scared never comes off as genuine, but these guys really did. Yeah. And it's Annalise Basso, who you wouldn't recognize her anymore. She looks more like Karen Gillian now. Like she's grown up and she's gorgeous. And I saw her IMDb is full of current stuff. She's all over the place.
Well, if you're that good as a kid and you don't get sucked into some crazy Hollywood system, like the odds are by the time you know, really start honing your craft, because she killed it in this, you know, she had to carry most of the weight of the emotion. They didn't put that on the brother too much. You saw some of it here and there, but for the most part, she was like, you got to be brave and we got to fucking run. For Scotland.
He was played by Garrett Ryan. He was really good. And then wife of the writer and director, Katie Siegel, plays the ghost in this.
Yes.
Don't see a lot of her, but when you do, it's spectacular because they do this really cool low budget effect, but still very effective where there's mirrors in their eyes and they kind of glow. Yeah, it was very cool.
And there is a deleted scene where she's much more prominent, and the father was actually having an affair. Now we don't know it was her, but he like calls her from the office, and he's like, "We gotta stop doing this shit at the office. My kid's seen us." Blah 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 blah.
The office is his house. Who has an affair at their house when their wife is also at the house?
Because she wasn't there. In this scene, he's like, yo, Tim's like, I remember mom leaving sometimes. Maybe you don't, but I do. And they do this flashback. But we'll get to some of that shit later on because this movie's clever.
But if this dude is pulling down that kind of tail, Kate Siegel and Katie Sackhoff, two Kates.
He has
two Kates at the same time. What? All right. Are you ready to hear what IMDb says this movie's about?
Yes, I'm totally ready.
This is probably one of the best that I've read.
Okay.
Allow me. Proceed. A recently released inmate from a mental asylum learns from his sister that the murder he was convicted of committing was actually orchestrated by a supernatural entity. Now, to call the place that he left a sane asylum, I think was really like leaning in a direction that the movie wasn't. It was really kind of like a, I don't know, like a house of therapy.
Right. It really was. People were chill. They were nice to him. You know, I just recently rewatched Child's Play, the original, after watching that Chucky documentary on Shudder, and where they had Andy. That is a fucking insane asylum.
Yeah.
It was just like all bars and shit everywhere. And I think in the documentary, they said it was an abandoned, you know, hospital. And even a lot of the crew was like, that place was fucking creepy, man. Like there was nothing good about that when we were in there. But it was just like 3 bars, you know, on the windows and like, and he's just in the corner like, nobody believes me. So yeah, I think you're right. Because his let's just jump right into it. And we open up with, we get introduced to the mirror and the ghost really quick. And Mike Flanagan, I don't know who the cinematographer was on this, but his direction and his vision is just somewhere right on the edge. It's like a fine line, almost art house a little bit. You know, tour type stuff with these really kind of cool Dutch angles and flippy cameras. But this is also the time, you know, James Wan was doing this shit with The Conjuring, or maybe not The Conjuring yet, but Insidious. No, there would have been The Conjuring. But even in Insidious and all those things, he was always spinning the camera around and doing this fun. And I think we even get some of that in the first Saw movie. But this is, you know, it's surreal in a lot of ways. He's tricking the shit out of you throughout this whole movie. And we open up with seeing this kind of nightmare, like you said, the reflective eyes that are super cool, long black hair, thin woman in some kind of, but in the shadows, always in the shadows, and you just see these twinkles coming at you. And then he's got the gun, And he's like, as a little kid, like, boom. And then he's standing there with his doctor, and he's like, this is the first time in my dream I pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
The doctor's like, good for you. Like, duh, you made it. Yes, we're going to approve your release on your 21st birthday. It was probably like the state was like, you got to get him out. We ain't got enough beds. This dude's
Yeah, because
21.
I felt that the dream that he tells the doctor was not like good for getting paroled. He was like, so I pulled the trigger and I shot my sister in the face.
The doctor interprets it, though, as him taking responsibility for his delusions, and we'll get to a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways this was, highlighting some things like that. Like, nobody believes you no matter what, and they will find a way to rationalize anything if something out of the ordinary takes place, something too out of the ordinary that happens. And so he's been in therapy since the dream incident. He's like, hey, my sister's going to pick me up and shit. And then we see, what's her, I don't remember her character's name. Do you still have that open?
Yeah, I got it right here. Kayla and Tim.
Kayla and Tim. So Kayla comes bouncing around with this really cool, like, tracking shot of just her ponytail. I don't know why I thought that thing was framed
it was insane, dude. Yeah, I was like, "What is that an effect? Like, or does that just always just rocking around?" It does
happen, but it was the way he framed the shot. If you look at like the door in front of her and shit, and the way it was coming in, and he's pulling the camera and pushing and shit, like, or just following her tracking. But either way, they present her as this very strong character right out of the gate. And she is. She calls her brother, fucking blah, 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 blah. I'm going to pick you up. We're going to something, hang out. Got you. Or maybe he got his own apartment. We're going to get you a cell phone. How are you doing? But then I think in the parking lot, it's right there. She drops the first hint, like,
yeah, she doesn't even fuck around. She's not even like, hey, you want to go get lunch?
Yeah.
She just like lays it on him.
You ready to kill this mirror? And he's like, whoa, like, shit. And she's like, yeah, it's probably a lot to drop on you. And we also see her, I think it's her husband, he has the name that's on the sign, like Dumont auction house, or, very, very high-end antiques and stuff like that. Part of me wonders if she didn't play this dude in some way just to get to the, some Black Widow shit,
dude. Yeah.
Like, just making it happen. But there does seem to be some true love between them once we get a little bit later on. However, we skip forward to the auction house, and we see the mirror for the first time. And we had seen the mirror in the opening sequence. They described the mirror. It was carved out of a single piece of black cedar. The glass is from such and such. It's called the Lasser glass because that's the first documented person to have owned it. And there's one small crack in it that nobody can explain, and we'll get to some of that shit later. So the bids go through, all this stuff. She is the curator, the overseer of the transfer of all this shit. She goes into the back, is like talking to this mirror, and man, can fucking Karen Gillian act, dude. She is a powerhouse, like truly a powerhouse. Man. And you talk about this stuff, it's people don't see her face in Nebula, but when she had to do that stuff with like getting torn apart and Thanos and the relationship with her sister, like Gamora inside, like she did this directorial debut thing too that I really liked. I can't remember the name of it, but she was just like partying, where she was partying all day long and night and just banging everybody. And it sounds, it's more like a Train Spotting type thing. It's not like pornography the way I just made the sound, but it was good. I was like, man, she really has the chops, dude. And then you see her in Jumanji, like funny as fuck, can pull that off as well.
Well, even Nebula got funnier as the movies progressed,
sure. As we needed to like her more, yeah.
Yeah. She was so dry though, and to go from that to like finding humor in her character, that just like shows her talent.
Crushes it, man. And Brent Thwaites, we'll just say Thwaites, I guess. I wish I knew, dude. If somehow you somehow hear this, just know we love you, dude. Because he shows up too and just really fucking delivers as this, I've recovered. I have made it, I did the things. I worked the therapy. I understand what actually happened, not what I thought happened when I was a child. I just get out of this hospital, and his sister essentially punches him right in the fucking face with a huge dose of like, oh no, dude. Everything he believes now is nothing had happened. Everything she believes is, I've been waiting for this moment because I never forgot it. And when I was in the foster system, blah, blah, blah. And when I turned 18, they gave me the house. They kept it on the market until I turned 18. Then they gave it to me. She's like, I was the youngest kid in college or some shit who was a homeowner. Her boyfriend or husband, when she's doing the allocation paperwork or something like that, talking, I need to get this thing moved. We're going to do a repair. I didn't think somebody wanted a repair. Maybe they do. Da, 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 da. She's working this system from every single angle. And he walks up and he's like, hey, I fucking got you your own printer. You've been printing dead people all over. And it's scaring Cynthia. She's fucking freaked out, man. Like, these are crime scene photos that you're printing all over the office. And
that's what happens when your husband is the boss. You don't get fired. You actually get your own printer.
Right. You ain't lying. Anywhere else, they'd be like, you gone. Fired. So she tells him, though, she's like, there's a part of my life, you don't understand. I hope to share it with you one day, but right now I can't. I can't share this with you. I have to go do this thing and make this thing happen. Just give me a couple days. We've already talked all this. And he's super supportive. He's like, all right, I'll call you every hour on the hour. I'll do the thing. But still the crime scene photos, man. And she's like, I promise I'll fucking let you know. And so she gets the mirror loaded into the back of her car, but not before she visits it alone in the warehouse. And you see the creepy, and that was 2013, 2005, 2008, 2015, that when Insidious hit so big and when, The Conjuring hit so big and we realized that we were kind of coming out of this Saw hostile torture porn era of horror, we started to see kind of those traditional haunted house. I'm just going to move this shit a little bit behind your head. Incredibly effective.
Flanagan is so good at this, dude.
Dude, he is unbelievably good at this.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's lame and you're just like, just pull the fucking sheet off already. But he does a really good job of dragging out that tension, dude. And really, the set dressing goes too, because it does not look like there's a mannequin under there.
Right.
It looks like something scary's under there.
Right. And then she'll turn and look at the mirror and there will be nothing there. And then she'll turn around behind her, or there's something in the mirror, nothing behind her, then something behind her and nothing in the mirror. And it's like, and she's like, okay, bitch, you want to play? And she even touches the mirror and is like, I hope it still hurts. And so we know now that there's something, these kids did something. She loads this thing up in her car. The dude's like, hey, man, we're going to wrap it for you and everything, but here you go. Take it away on your own. She gets her brother over to the house, and this is where we spend the majority of our movie, is their childhood home that she inherited. Because she bounced around the foster system, whereas he was in the institution for all this time.
And I know I harp on this shit all the time, dude, but if you can write a story that takes place in one location, you've just made Hollywood gold, because that's what they're looking for. And this is a Blumhouse movie, so low budgets with high yields is the whole point.
You use your budget on the talent because that's what you need to sell it. If you don't have to use it on all the set pieces. And there is something in the short film, the 30-minute little short film, that Oculus Chapter 3, The Man with the Plan, it's just all in one white box. That's it, whole thing, And I think he was effective. He was showing different monitors, close-ups on the cameras, doing little tricky stuff. So they get to this house, their childhood home. If this is where he gets, not only a master of one location, but one location with two sets of characters and intertwining it in a way that just kind of like blows your mind.
Yeah, man, this movie feels so much bigger because of the way that it's shot and because we're going back and forth in timelines and everything.
And I think when they first get there, that's when we move in as a family in the past. They all go running inside.
They do a really great job of those transitions where you just effortlessly move into the past.
Or like somebody, they'll be watching themselves in the past.
Yeah.
And then the real world person will come walking through or something like that. Yeah, dude, super,
good.
super well done. And Mike Flanagan continues to do that. I haven't seen anything that he's done where I wasn't at least impressed in some way. You know, like some of the Bly Manor stuff just wasn't for me. I get why people really dig on it. I was just like, yeah, that's not my, I don't like mint chocolate chip that much. You know, I like other flavor a little bit. Like, thank you for sharing your ice cream with me because I still like ice cream, and I'll still eat mint chocolate chip. And I thank you for that, Mike Flanagan. But like Gerald's Game was fire, dude.
Dude, that's one of my favorite King books.
And he's just got an eye for talent. Like he knows who to put in what places to really get. And he is fortunate that his wife can fucking act, dude. Like she's so good in all the stuff. And you should check out Hush because that's again a one location. It's a deaf woman out in a cabin, and then you got this dude trying to break in, and she can't hear shit, and it's like this cat and mouse for an hour and a half. That's a ton of fun.
Nice. Okay,
so they get to the house. Now we're back to when we were children. And again, these two kids who act in this thing, they play a young Kayla and Tim. Kayla and Tim. They play young Kayla and Tim really good. Brother and sister. They play this back and forth well. They're playing laser tag together. The dad, whatever he does, has a ton of money. He's got this office right by the front window, and they had bought this mirror. The mirror goes up into the office, and it doesn't take long before the mirror starts to impose its will on people, on the dad, and he's got to sell this shit really good too. You know, he's like, oh, I gotta go golfing, just gotta do the like I've known people like this. I've worked alongside people like this in houses and shit like this. I gotta get this stuff done, go do the thing, you know, the business, blah 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 blah. He's in the office though, and little shit like a light will flicker or something like scary. And it is. And you hear these little whispers. And that shit's always scary. I don't care who you are. And we're getting some nice shots on the mirror, you know, like zooming in. These really nice. He's like, man, he's got an eye for making movies. He's got the frame. This dude's got an eye for shooting even, you know, not just one location being the house, but dad's office is a primary player in this thing, and he's finding all these different ways to, you know,
and shooting into a mirror is an absolute nightmare.
Right. You know, I was thinking though, like we live in the world now, and that's the thing that was dirty. That was smart. It wasn't super reflective until you got right up next to it. And a lot of it, I think you could probably just paint the shit chroma green, you know, throw a reflection on there, a shitty looking reflection. Nobody's going to see it. Or maybe just, you know, paint the mirror. I don't know. But you're right. Shooting it, you know, and you look at shit like Enter the Dragon. I remember seeing a documentary on that, and they're like, the crew could only be in that last couple, the mirrors, the funhouse, because it was giving everybody headaches just being in there. And I'm like, how did you shoot it, dude? Like Bruce Lee moving and getting hit by 9 cameras, but you got to hide yourself.
Right.
Gnarly.
Crazy. But
this is that in a lot of ways, you know, we're getting a lot of shots of this mirror, and it's really cool. Dad is the first one to get overpowered because he spends the majority of his time there, and he starts
always dad.
Picking
and it's
at
always
because
he's horny,
dude. But
that was rough, dude. That's hard to watch.
A lot in this is tough when you're seeing, you know, certain things, and we'll get to some of the other ones. But yes, he starts biting at his nails, and even when they're at dinner, mom's like, don't chew your nails like your fucking dad. And we get some exposition about her C-section scar. She's worried about it looking more pronounced than it was 10 years ago. Meanwhile, when kids are outside playing laser tag, they peek in through the window. The daughter does. Kayla does, and sees somebody in dad's office behind him. And this is where that deleted scene comes in. And it actually shows her coming in. And they're like, oh, fuck, get behind me. But I think that takes away from some of the power of the ending once you get there. If dad would have been set up more as like a true, you know, kind of turd for the most part, and then turns into a monster, like if you're already a piece of shit and then turn into a piece of shit, people really don't care too much about you.
Right.
But that's also, good choices in the editing room and saying, hey, it just doesn't flow right, and that's the beauty when you write and direct, and this is early in your career. So you probably got a lot of good, decision making in the.
And you put your wife in a movie, and then you got to tell her, baby, I got to cut you out of that scene. Actually, most of your scenes.
No, and you know what though, and we'll get there. So the daughter sees, and she even asks at dinner, like, who is that lady in your office? And even the mom's like, jokingly at first. And that also, I don't think would have played off, because at some point, that's right. Kayla later on says, I went through everything, every receipt, every nut. There was not a hotel room. There was not a flower. There was not a nothing that would indicate dad was, having an affair on mom. So I guess, I don't know. I like the way it works this way. Mom's like, hey, yeah, so fuck somebody there, and he's like, oh no, don't worry about it. And then that's when you start hearing real voices start coming from the other side. We start to see the visual manipulation take place, and this is scary. This is what scared me about this movie the first time, and we'll get to the point. I'll tell you exactly when it was. It wasn't this quite yet, but Dad's got a Band-Aid on his finger, and he pulls the Band-Aid off and sets it on the desk because he's trying to type, he's trying to do the thing. He can't do it right, so he takes it off, and then he looks down, and the Band-Aid's on his finger again. And he's like, that's weird, and he looks down, fuck where it was on the desk, not there. So he gets out the staple removers and starts grabbing the edge, the little brown paper part of the Band-Aid, and he's yanking on it. And then right at the end, he looks down, and it's his full fingernail, and he's like, "Oh!" And it's just coming. And it's hard.
It's hard to look at. It's yucky.
It's a hard to look at.
It's not Grissy Strangler yucky, but it is yucky.
Yeah, it gets you in the like, you feel it. You feel it in your finger. You can feel that. And so now he's really getting like twisted in reality. The family dog, Mason, he starts going a little bit nuts, always barking outside the door, yada, yada. Mom ends up locking him in there at one point because she bit him, or he bit her. She bit him. He bites her, and she's like, fine, you want to go in there so bad, go. And then all of a sudden you hear all these kind of like sad dog noises, and the kids just sit outside the fucking room all day. Like, Mom said, Mason's on timeout. We got to put him in there, but we're not going anywhere, dude. You put our dog in there. And this was after, I think they were playing with him in the yard, and he's just very lethargic in the yard. Like, go get the stick. Fucking lazy dog. Go get it. And now he's in here whining. Dad gets home. They open the office, and no more dog.
Pay attention to your dog, people. Dogs see ghosts before you do every single time.
Mm-hmm. Pay attention. Now, we start somewhere close to here jumping back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'll say it right up front. It's one of my only... I love it, but at the same time, it's one of my only problems with this, is that at some points it felt like, especially near the end, the back and forth was going so quickly that it was like, in some ways, and I'm a fan of Mike Flanagan. Yeah. But you know what I mean? When you're like, I learned a new trick.
Right.
I'm going to do that bitch. A lot.
Yeah.
And so I feel it can get, for some people, it could possibly get a little bit confusing. Like, wait a second.
I think so, but I think that he was really trying to do that, because at some point in the movie, you really start to lose ground on what was real and what wasn't, and what was in their head and what wasn't. And you see things happen, and then you realize that some things are only happening in their head.
Right.
And so I think that kinetic energy.
I think that's good, but I think it starts right around here and becomes more and more aggressive until we become like kind of lost in this surreal nightmare where we don't know what's real and what's not. And I'll talk about it once we get a little bit closer to the end, because it was more a third act thing than anything else. So she's got all this information. Grown up Kayla, she's got everything, like, this happened in such and such time, this happened, and it's grisly. It's like, oh, this dude, they found her, or this woman, they found her in the bathtub, and get this, dehydration was the cause of death in a pool of water. This other woman started ripping all her own teeth out with a pair of pliers and put her kids and locked them in a cistern, and that. This dude at the bank took off, or no, somebody at the bank locked the guy in the vault and then went and chewed on a power line, and they showed the, the big gnarly image. And she leads it all the way up until their parents had bought it, because the public story is that their father killed their mother and then I think killed himself, or he killed his dad in self-defense or something like that. But she never believed that. She's like, it's been this mirror. And so she traced all these things together.
Yeah, that's why he's in the asylum, is because he
Right.
got busted for killing his father.
Right. And I think this is where I fell in love with this thing, is Mike Flanagan almost convinces you that she's the one who's crazy
Totally. Yeah.
so effectively.
Yeah.
Even now when I rewatch it, I'm like, is she? Because and that's where, you need somebody like her who can act so fucking well. She can sell that just under the skin terror of what if I'm wrong. The same way that he got hit with, oh shit, what if I'm wrong? She has to go through the same thing. But they're at the house and she's going full MacGyver. And I love this. The first time I saw it,
She's got it
was
so
like,
planned out, dude.
genius.
I love that. Yeah.
Genius. Bunch of different cameras, all on different power sources, a spot to put the mirror on the wall that has a yacht anchor rigged up to where if she doesn't reset this timer every 30 minutes, it'll blast straight into the front of the mirror. It's fail safe, essentially. Food, water, you got to hydrate and eat.
On an alarm so that if she's like freaking out or the mirror's got her, she knows that that's going to wake her up and she's going to go eat, because she knows that these other people died from starvation and dehydration. So
right, because it just
like,
kept
I ain't going out like them bitches.
Right, it just kept them trapped in there. And she has plants all over because according to the whatever she could find, it kills your plants and shit, all kinds of fast. She has a little dog named Dog because she didn't want to give this thing a name. There are lamps, camping style lamps all over the place that'll come into play. There are light bulbs, and her husband is supposed to call her every hour on the hour. And she even gets nippy with him, like, yo, it's 7 minutes past. I need you to call me on the hour every hour. Like, this is mathematical. It has to go this way in order for us to. And her big thing is just to prove it. She wants to prove to the world that her father was not a bad man, did not kill their mother, did not do these things. And there's going to be some sort of objective evidence in one of these cameras or something like that. He starts saying, you made this shit up in your head. I'm so sorry. We went through some traumatic stuff. And he's got all the modern science behind his back. He's spitting it out, just killing it. Like, it's called such and such. You do this to repress this, and then this comes out and blah, 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 blah. And again, she sells it so good. They put the dog up there. She's convinced that the dog will disappear because there have been reports of animals, cats, and dogs always disappearing in the presence of this mirror. She is so set on this thing. And he's like, nothing is happening, and the dog's still under there. He's like, the plants are still alive. She's like, give it time, and don't trust your phone and shit like that. The stuff isn't working out. And he starts making a compelling case for, listen, you just need some help. I'm going to help you out through all this. And she's almost there. She's just about there. And they walk over because they were arguing in the camera room. And they walk over. She walks over and she's like, there it is. I knew it. She's like, there it is. And he's like, what are you talking about? He comes over. She's excited. This is happening. And what we see is the cameras have been pointed directly lens to lens into each other. All the furniture and shit's been moved around. He's standing in the doorway having a full-blown panic attack because now it is real. Everything that they taught him was a lie. They convinced him to lie to himself that this thing is not real, but now it is very real. she's all worked up. Okay, now we've got some of the evidence, da-da-da. But he had already let the dog out. The dog took off. He's like, this is nonsense, right? I want to say right before they get to this part. They let the dog out. They start moving the cameras are beep, 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 beep. Okay, let's have a snack or something like that. Then we're going to flash back to the past again. We're going to spend, I think, quite a bit of time here when mom starts to kind of lose her shit. You know, dad just spends endless hours in the office, just like sometimes that we see him with his back against the mirror. I want to say we might get a couple glimpses of the woman in the mirror here or there. And
Mom looks into the mirror and she's got like dark circles under her eyes and she looks aged and she's already like worrying about losing her youth and her husband cheating on her.
But even before that, she finds the piece of paper with the name written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
A Spanish name. I can't remember what the name is, but it's this Spanish name. And yeah, mom is eventually, when it really grabs her, it does. It gets her at the mirror and she opens up her, it's like smiling at her, all demented, opening up her. And Katie Sackhoff just kills it, you know, because she had to play both sides of that fucking mirror, you know, unless she's got a twin. I don't know. But, and her C-section wound is all open and festered and.
That was nasty too.
Yeah, really kind of gnarly. And she gets grabbed. Maybe she grabs her through the mirror. And then that's kind of when the turn of possession takes place, you know. And now she turns into, at first the kids are like, or no, the kids just get attacked by her after she gets this. She takes off running. Up the stairs, they lock themselves behind the door, like, and that's the scariest thing ever is your mom trying to.
The idea of your mom coming after you, dude. Ugh.
If
so
there's
scary.
one person you don't want to be coming after you, it's your own mother.
The one person
I mean?
that's there to help you in a situation like this, that would believe you, and she's the one that is coming after you. Worse than your dad. Because your dad, if you even said a bad word, your dad was coming after you with a belt. You were used to your dad coming after.
Right.
But mom,
not your mom, dude.
I mean, maybe after a bottle of wine or two, she'd, you know, come and smack you around a little bit, but nothing as serious as this.
Not like this. They're hiding and she's banging on the door. Boom, boom, boom. And the kids are like, Mom, why? You know, dad comes in with his golf clubs. He goes running up there and puts her in a fucking sleeper hold.
Full on Navy SEAL, dude. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
You know, this was a WWE production. I remember I saw that at the beginning of the thing. Yeah. But he knocks her out. They're like, we got to call. He's like, we got to call 911. And he grabs his phone. And then you hear like that coming through the cell phone. It looked like he was ready to call the doctor. Like he had come in from outside, was so far outside the sphere of influence. And then all of a sudden he gets hit with it again. And he's like, listen, you kids, go to your room. I'm going to take your mom, put her in bed. It's what doctor said. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she's just got a weird cold.
Right.
This is
pre-COVID. And then they see him walking by with chains in like a, C-clamp that you put in a stud somewhere that somebody cannot rip off the wall.
What did you think of this chain? I felt that this chain was underwhelming.
It might have been a little bit weak, but...
It was a lot weak, dude.
But it could also have been the thing told him, like, just chain her up a little bit. Like, we'll keep her under control some. It was
like a bunch of paper clips like welded together.
And the kids are sad, dude. They're like, fucking dad's crazy. He's bleeding crazy. All out of his cuticles. Mom, we're not allowed to go up there. He's like, we just got to leave your mother alone.
She needs to rest.
You guys can play in the office. How about that? The mirror get you.
Which is where he told him, like, never go in the office. Right. And now he's like, now you can play in the office all you want.
And the kid's like, Tim's like, I don't like it in there.
Yeah. I'm not like, fuck that office.
Right. I'm not a fan of your office, Dad.
They don't even know it's the mirror yet.
Right.
They just know Dad's office is scary.
They go to him and he just sits in the office like, staring at the mirror. Right. They're like, Dad, we got no food. And he's like, I'll put it on my list. Just getting nasty bloody all over his fingers. They're like, Dad, we got to get Mom a doctor. And he's like, no, you leave your mother. You leave her there. It's fine. Don't worry. I'll feed her. And he goes up there with a plate of like slop. And the kid watches him go by and she's like, ew, like, is that what you're feeding, Mom? And he's like, Don't worry about it. When he goes in there, we don't see mom for a little while. The kids go to the neighbor's house because he tells them not to leave. He's just like, you're grounded.
Yeah.
Just stay inside. Don't go anywhere. She goes out the window, or maybe goes out the front door at this point. She doesn't jump out the window yet. She goes out the front door, and comes the neighbor, and then Don or whoever the neighbor, Dan, comes over.
Fucking Don, dude. Just worthless. No help
That's how
at
it
all.
always went down, dude. When you're a little kid, that's the scariest fucking part, is when nobody believes you about some shit.
Yeah.
And Dad sells it pretty well, but he's standing there when the camera flips behind him. We see his bloody fingers all over the wall and leaving little fingerprints. Really good, yeah, which was done really well. And then he turns and looks at him up on the, banister or whatever you call that, way up top, the landing upstairs. And he's just staring at him like, I told you not to fuck. And then the girl's like, we got to get some food. I'm going to help mom. And, I'm going to explain some of this stuff right now, and then we'll get to some of the other adult stuff. But this is intercut. This is where we start to intercut these things a little more heavily. And they go to get mom, and mom is just eating the plate.
Mom's in a bad way.
Mom probably smells like piss.
Ugh, piss and like bumfoot. She
All
hasn't
kinds
showered.
Of gangrene.
Yeah,
she is in a rough, chained to the wall.
I don't even know how to explain her teeth at this point.
Right.
I mean, I know she's been chewing on glass and stuff, but her teeth are all kinds of fucked up.
They're
look
not like little messed up rocks.
They're
or
teeth.
Little pieces of wood. Teeth.
Yeah, she's got that like
whale teeth, like that just get like the brushy, like they're just like kind of rotting, like just sucking plankton. Exactly.
Yeah, or they're a little simple Jack too.
Yes, but she, like you said, is in a bad way. The Kayla has seen as the little girl. She sees the woman like on the stairs or in the office, like the full blown. And like you said, they did a great job with the lighting, the makeup. This character is just like, I don't like it. When every time you see it, you're like, I don't like it. Take it away. Make it go somewhere. We jump back to our present time. Stuff starts to, they're both convinced now. He's convinced as well that this thing is evil. Okay, now we got to catch it on camera.
Well, they rewinded the tape too when the two cameras were together.
And they're still arguing.
That they did it. Yeah, and they're having the conversation. So now you realize you're like, oh shit, now we don't know what is really happening and what's not happening. And all right, I'm on board.
I'm here for it. Yeah. And to determine the radius of influence, she has plants. And when the plants die, that's how you know it's made it that far out. It can get you. And she even tells him, okay, you can use it. He's like, I got to call my fucking doctor. Like right now, dude.
Yeah.
I need medicine, doctor, whoever. This is bad. Can you help me?
And then we start finding out that it's not just whispers on the phone. This motherfucker can like full on clone people's voices.
Right. Because they talk about, and we do get to a scene when they're kids, they show us them trying to call the doctors. And they get the same message, same voice, everything, every single time. Like,
have your dad call. Yeah, your father.
Have your father call. And in this instance, we're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer every few minutes. And every time we're jumping back and forth. The plants, the power goes out, and she's got all the battle lanterns everywhere. They get separated for some. He remembers himself as a kid up in his room playing laser with his thing as everything's going bad. She is doing the light bulbs. This scene got me, dude.
Me too, dude. This is one of the gnarliest things.
Because it's not hypergraphic.
Nope.
It's, her tongue doesn't fall out. It doesn't stab through the side of her cheek or anything like that. But we see her grab an apple, the alarms, whoop, whoop. And we see her grab an apple. She goes to change some light bulbs, sets the apple down right next to the light bulbs. And you're like, oh, no. And then she grabs the apple. We watch her grab the apple, and she goes to walk away. And then she's walking, and you just hear, and then you see blood start to trickle. And then you go to her hand. She took a bite of this huge light bulb. And then for what felt like forever, I'm sure it's only, a few seconds, she finagles this piece of glass out of her. And it's like trying not to cut the inside of her mouth and pulls this whole thing out. And you got to look at it. And she's just like mouth full of blood. And then her brother shows up, and she's like, "Whoa," and he's like, fucking, Gala. And she bounces back, and she's got the apple in her hand with a little piece of apple in her mouth. She's like, I think we should stick together. That'll
Yeah.
probably be a good idea.
Maybe we should stick together. Oh, good thinking.
Right. I think that'll probably be a good idea for now. From here, we're getting relatively close to jumping into the third act, which had some cool moments. I felt, and this is where I think things turned a little crazy for me, and maybe it's because they had to wrap up this dude's storyline, but her husband showing up, and that death to me felt fast and I felt like I didn't know him enough to truly care that much, you know.
Right.
He was only there for her to have a really strong emotional response. I mean, if you got Karen Gillan active for you, you give her the opportunity to full range, go for it, dude. Like, you're awesome at what you do.
What was so eerie, I thought, is that she thinks it's a hallucination at first.
Well, because
She's
we
like,
see her
"There's no way
walking
I could've."
around, right? We see her walking around, and that was a great effect. You know, she's
Yeah.
looking through her phone, and the shit isn't there that she's seeing in real life because apparently the ghost can't. But I guess if it can get inside, to talk to you.
Right.
Why couldn't it get inside? But either way, that's
Or
the
maybe
setup.
it's not. Maybe it's in their head. Nothing's coming through the phone,
Right. That's possible. But she does turn around and sees the woman, right? And then goes to take a swing. Because we don't see the full cast of mirror people until
No.
much later on,
Yeah.
right at the end. But she sees somebody, she sees something, and she goes to swing a piece of this plate and stabs her husband in the neck. Again, we don't really know how he got in there, I think we do get a voicemail where we hear him saying something along the lines of, I'm worried about you, haven't talked to you, come to see you, whatever the case may be. But we do get led to believe that he is dead for real. This guy's, and this is a nice setup too, because we forgot to mention early on, she says, I told him I was worried about you. She tells her husband, I told him I had to spend some time with you and I was worried about you just getting out and I didn't want you to relapse or anything like that. And I think that really leads into the ending of this thing. But he ends up dead on the floor. Back in the past, we're getting to the final confrontation. Kayla goes in to see what's going on with her mom. She sees it. They panic. She's telling her dad, you got to get her some fucking help. Then we get the neighbor thing. And then dad goes up there and just lets mom off the chain at one point. And she does a couple run crawl things at some point. And yeah man, it gets a little bit intense, but super well shot. And we're getting these visions of Tim at the bottom of the stairs, seeing himself run up the stairs, and then it'll bounce back and forth. Again, for me, and maybe I'll have to go back and watch it again, but I really gave it 100% of my full attention when I was watching it this time around. I just felt like the pacing was a little bit fast in a couple points. Nothing to ruin a movie, but I was just like, okay, maybe we could have spent a little more time here for some of these moments to matter when you really get up to that third act. If we would have.
I have a feeling though that Blumhouse has a rule that you got to keep it at like a fucking lean 140.
Yeah, probably, but that doesn't matter because you still put it out, regardless. Yeah. And the studio system grabs people and does really weird things. Very few people get to that point where they're like, I get to make exactly what I want to make.
Oh, yeah.
In the studio system.
Hardly ever happens.
Right. Any studio system. Even though we were just talking about the Trauma studio system earlier.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. But it's fucking cool, dude, that people are doing that.
Yeah.
So mom's on the loose trying to get the kids. They get into their bedroom, I think at first. Dad had been loading the gun. He's just putting bullets in the office. Shit's getting scary. It's dark. It's nighttime and really freaky. These kids, you're like, oh shit. And she's like, listen, I need you to be brave right now. I need you to be brave. We're going to open that door and you just fucking run. You just run. You go. And then they're going to take off. I think we're now in the future again at some point where things are starting to get really increasingly bad. You know, he sees her on the monitors when she's clearly in a different direction. At one point, she's just standing in front of the mirror and it almost gets her. Like you said, the alarm goes off and whoever's in the vision or whatever is like, ah, and it's coming out. And she's like, oh, you almost got me. Fucking this, that, and the other. He tries to... Or maybe she tries to, they try to call somebody. And again, it's in the phones. Like we know it's now manipulating the technology a little bit. And even when it kills the power, she has backup batteries and all this stuff in everything.
He tries to call 911 because of the husband, because they killed the husband.
Right. That's right. And he's like, we got to go. Like this has got to end. They even get out into the yard. And this
was a mind trip.
Yeah. That's how you get them back. That's how you get them back. They get out into the yard. Again, we're jumping between the kids who are still trying to avoid their mom. They come charging out of the bedroom. She smacks her mom, whack, right in the face with a golf club. She goes down and then gets her. And there's this moment where she's choking her. Like she's choking the shit out of her own kid, just like taking her life. And they both sell it really well, you know, because I'm sure there's so many rules about choking a kid on screen. You know, all the people that got to be around to make sure nothing bad happens. They both sell this so well, and she starts pleading, and we see the mom's spirit, the original, whatever you want to call it, starting to fight back a little bit and starts to let go, and then dad just puts one in her dome piece, like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, we have them outside looking in, and they see themselves lined up, single file in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
Now, and us as the audience are struggling with the same thing. What's real and what's not.
And I love it at this moment because she goes, no, it's just another fucking trick. She wants us to come back in the house. That's why she's doing this. So you're just like, oh, what the fuck do you do? If you go in, you're fucked. If you stay out, you're fucked.
Right.
Like, you're just fucked.
Right. Because the house can't show you from the inside. You know, it can do whatever it wants to do from the inside. But they see themselves, and he makes the counter argument that we're all thinking about. Well, what if that is us in there, and this is the manifestation? The house was able to manipulate us big enough, and it just wants to keep us outside until we get slammed through the chest.
Right.
I do think, though, maybe the anchor wouldn't get the mirror. I mean, two people, it's not going to blast through, I think, two whole meat sacks and crack the mirror. You know what I mean? Because the mirror's big thing is self-preservation. It just wants to continue doing what it's doing. And at this point, we're starting to see all the souls that are trapped in there with their twinkly eyes. And it's a nightmare, man.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. So they're outside. We're back to the kids. Kids are running around. Dad's got the gun. And we do see the kids at one point try and hit the mirror a bunch of times. And then we pan back and they just been hitting right next to it on the wall. Ting, 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 ting. I'm like, dude, that's so good. So dad comes in and he's going to kill Tim. And dad's going to kill Tim. Or no, dad's going to kill Kayla and Tim gets the gun. Tim gets the gun at some point. And he's holding it and he's like, I'm going to kill you, Dad. Like, let her go, let her go. And dad turns around and he's just gone, man. He's completely possessed by this entity. He's gone and he goes to Tim and he like pulls the gun up to his heart, and then he gets on his knees and, I want you to do, and Tim's crying, and this kid sells it good. He's all worked up about it. And dad, in the same way, I think, at least the way I interpreted it, was that dad was doing the same thing mom was and kind of fighting back a little bit, against this thing. And he's like, because dad says run. And then he puts his finger on the trigger and pushes his kid's finger. Yeah. And then they take off running. Tim and Kayla go back into the house. We see the rig almost about to go off. Tim's in there without his sister. She's off somewhere else. He's like, fuck you, mirror. Like, this is over. He runs over to the timer. Nobody's in there. Turns the timer. And then we see blood. Yeah, he just dropped an anchor through his sister. Brutal. And this is where I also struggled. The last little bit was that I feel like we didn't, like, her death was so abrupt and so, like, just jarring. Maybe that was part of it. But at the same time, it would have been nice to say goodbye to her in a little bit, more profound of a way. She was such a strong badass throughout all of it. And then it's just like cut scene, she's dead.
That's life, though, baby.
You ain't lying, dude. You ain't lying. Cutscene disabled.
Yeah, it's just brutal. And the sound design in this and everything,
So good.
brutal. You just like you feel that thing had weight and it just went.
And she's like,
Yeah, all
doing
she does
the blood out
is
thing, and
choke
he's
to
just
death.
standing there. And then we've got whoop 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 whoop. We see the berries and cherries. The cops outside are like, he's the one that called it in. I don't know. This is strange. But if we remember that she had told the husband, there's going to be evidence maybe somewhere that they were worried about the brother's mental stability. And now he's right back in the same situation. And they rewind the tape and show him turning the knob and her standing in front of it and whoosh, back in the same situation. And now we get this intercut from when he was a kid to current time. Mom and dad are in the window, glowy eyes. Then the other people are in the window, glowy eyes. And he's like, it was the mirror. It was the mirror. And the little kid's like, mirror. Everybody's mirror. They throw him in the back of the cop car, and he drives away and sees all of his people just twinkling in there with these like trapped soul eyes that are going to be lost in this thing forever.
I love a good Ghost One story.
Yeah. And
Ghost
not a
One,
happy
People
ending,
Zero.
dude.
No,
The
I
fact
love
that
it
he
when
went, the
horror
fact that he went
ends.
hard and went, this doesn't end well for anybody but the mirror.
Yeah,
Because she got splattered face first into it.
they should have had a cop be like, "I know that mirror's got a little blood on it, but it's pretty nice. I think I'm gonna take it home."
Right. You ain't lying, dude. Now, you'd think somebody at this point, maybe she had some kind of fail-safe in place that, a letter. If something happens to me, this gets opened up by my lawyer or somebody. I would hope, if she planned everything else that well, I would
I
hope
can't
she
believe
had-
that shit though.
At least it's out there. At least it's out there. Who knows? And they got to get to the rest of the footage unless the mirror was able to change a lot
We're
of
gonna
that
have to
stuff.
wait for Oculus 4.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want another Oculus. This one kind of does its thing. All right, so let's get into the rating and your thoughts. Why don't you give us a little bit of your overall thinking, and out of how many, I almost said cistern children, but I feel like that's a little wrong. So out of how many self-inflicted hammer smashes, because we forgot to mention that, the mom whose right arm was good but delivered over 300 blows to herself with a mallet. So out of 5 right-armed mallets, how many do you give Oculus?
I'm gonna give it a solid 4, man. I really like this movie. I liked it when it first came out, but I thought the rewatch was even more powerful. And I didn't remember a lot about it, but I just remembered it being cool and good. And I'll remember it now.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm with you. I've watched it quite a few times since it released. It's one of my favorite kind of haunted house. I don't know. And the performances, it's great. Maybe once a year if it's on TV, every couple of years or something, I'll throw it on. I'm going to 4.5. I think it really, outside of those couple little things, I think it just it delivers like such a solid movie that you almost, as soon as you're done watching it, you almost want to go back to see, did I miss something? Was there something else there? Where did you trick me?
Yeah.
So Oculus, highly recommend. As we mentioned, though, it's not, I think, available streaming outside of maybe renting it somewhere or purchasing.
Yeah, I rented it for
digitally.
$3 on Prime.
Yeah, which is a steal. Yeah, I knew I'd watch it again, so I just bought it for $12 on Apple. But yes, great movie. And next week, I will be joined by the amazing Chelsey CeeWolf Graves, and we're going to be talking CeeWolf in the house. We're going to be talking about Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead from 2004.
Kind of jealous. That's one of my favorites.
Dude, I know. When she brought it up, I was like, bet. Like, let's go, man. Let's make this happen, because it is it's one that I hold very dear to my heart just because of the time and place and everything, and I'll get into that on the episode. But also just, I think, in my opinion, Zack Snyder's best movie. It's, a great homage to the source material that came before it. And you just, again, you talk about performances across the board. There's just so many in this thing, so many characters and stuff like that. So that's going to be next week. Make sure you take time to watch that if you don't want to be spoiled, because that's what we do here. We spoil you beautiful souls because we love you so much.
You're
and
welcome.
like and subscribe if you can. That would be wonderful. Leave some comments in there. Be like, hey, you should watch this. I will say in the group chat, we were talking about watching some more trash horror. You know, when we got to talk about Trauma, so Michael Strom, there was also a Takashi McKay conversation going on in there. We talked about Gozu, Audition, Imprint, Itchy the Killer. There's so many to pick from. That dude's made over 100 movies, and every one that I've seen I've enjoyed. But Michael will be excited about that. Then we want to get into a little more of the exploitative and obscure, and we're just going to have a fun time with a horror movie. So throw those in the comments if you got anything you'd like to hear discussed. And we'll see if Lil Duke Spooky can make it. He's been known to be like, oh, it's too greasy. All right, we're running a little bit long already, so let's jump right into the pause for the living segment. And of course, this is the segment of the show where we just try to be a little bit cooler to each other and cooler to ourselves, celebrate ideas and talk about things that, might make our time here, our very short time here on this little rock, maybe a little more comfortable. And today's message is brought to you by Puppet Pops. He's always here for a great time. So I was thinking, like, life's really been putting people in my face lately, in a good way. Some old relationships that have come back and kind of have been reblooming and reforming, and even some new ones that have continued to grow and stuff like that. But my family, like my little brother and I, have been talking a ton. My mom, every time I'm down there trying to do some work and stuff like that, I get to see her. And I just want to reiterate, we've talked about this on the show before, but I truly believe, I could say with a great deal of confidence, that you get the people in your life right, and everything else will be all right. It is the people that matter. It is the people. Because I was going through a box of shit. We've been moving around, and I've been setting some stuff back up. Like, I guess we didn't move around. We wanted to move around, and then didn't, and such is life. But I've been putting some stuff out, and found like boxes full of military awards, like a whole bunch, and corporate awards, like, best peer leader, whatever, da 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 da. And that was like cool, I guess, at the time. But at the end of the day, at the end of my life, like that's not really going to mean shit, because my awards, people aren't going to be like standing around like, man, do you see how many awards he got? He was such a good award getter. And it's good. That's not to say don't get awards. You know what I mean?
Your trophies ambition lined up on your coffin.
Right. Have ambition. Do things with your life. But I think it's to say, make sure the priorities are in the correct order. And I think priority number one for a lot of people is their faith. And after that, it's your people. You know what I mean? For if you don't have some kind of faith, I like to think most people have some kind of a belief in something, even if it's a belief in nothing. Like atheism is a belief system, but you're believing in a non-existence of one thing, but you're still believing in something. And I think most people, it's good to believe in something. However, after that, I think the people are the most important. And I don't think you need that many. I think you need like 4 or 5.
A couple good ones, yeah.
4 or 5 solid ones. You know what I mean? I mean, these are you people that you would feel comfortable leaving home alone with your kids and shit. And be like, yeah, that you're totally good. The people that call you and be like, I mean, I don't know about you. I know you can't even make it through some movies. There's certain people that could call me and be like, yo, could you help me how to body? And I'll be like, I ain't got the muscles and shit for it maybe right this second, but I could help you find somebody who will help you. I still know some people like that. No. But you know what I mean? It's those people who you can be vulnerable with, who you can open up with, who you can be honest with, who you can talk to. If you got like 3 or 4 of those in your life, then I think you've already won. You know what I mean? And then anything on top of that. And then when you do have success in life that is a result of your personal ambitions, those people can celebrate it with you in like a real way. You know, even if you do make it big, you get all this money and shit. Those are the people that you're probably the only ones you're going to fucking trust.
Right.
Right. Because everybody else you don't know. They're like, well, I don't know you like that.
Right.
You know, I don't have that relationship. It's not to say I couldn't get to know you like that. But especially in those instances of, you know, wealth and material gain and stuff like that, I believe you start to question, are they here just for that, or are they here because they want to spend time with me? And I think why those relationships are so important is because you need to feel valued. If you stop feeling valued, and you need the people, and you need to know that value is real. And it's not just like, oh, you're the shit, dude. You're the shit, dude. Let's fucking go jet skiing. You're the shit, dude. Let's go hang out on the boat. Let's fucking, you know what I mean? And so I just wanted to bring that up. The people, man. It's the people. And I think the more we can see each other as people with people and just as people, that'll be a good thing too.
Yeah. People are important.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that coin, though, there's some people that have been in your life for a really long time, and they've been toxic as fuck the whole time. Don't be afraid to cut those people loose and really spend your time on the people that matter. And like you said, the people that, if you can spill your guts to somebody and not have to worry about the judgment that they're going to spew back at you, then that's a good one. And that's one that you should keep with you.
Or they just actually listen. Like, you know, they're actually hearing you.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and
huge.
It's not just waiting for a turn to talk.
Right.
It's, I'm hearing you. I hear you. And it's not, you know, and it's hard to be a good friend and a good listener. I think that's what makes them so fucking great is, you know, the people who, because they're telling you, I value you more than myself right now. And we live in a world that tends to be very selfish. Me,
100%. It's even encouraged.
Right. It is. And I think the only way to fight against that is to try to not be selfish, but at the same time, just look around you, because you probably got those people around you already. And my fear is that a lot of us on our deathbeds, we're going to get there and you're going to look back and you'd be like, fuck, they were right there. And I chose to do such and such or chase such and such that didn't really. And that's not to say don't have ambition. That's not to say don't have goals. It just means line up your priorities in a way where your people are fucking, you know, they feel that they're valued.
Yeah. You said something to me on the last week's episode that you said people are looking, they just want something real so bad. And you should look for that in your relationships too. Mm-hmm. Look for people that are real and that aren't bullshitting you and aren't trying to sell you some version of themselves.
Right.
Like, let's
or
get
some
to
idea constantly telling you, you know, the people you could sit with and be like, bro, this is fucking hard right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're not like, well, let me tell you about how hard it is for me right now.
or the flip side of that is like, well, let me tell you whose fault it is that it's hard for you right now.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, no, just right now. Like right here, not bigger world and shit like that. Like, I am just experiencing right in this chair, in this moment, this thing. And sometimes all it takes somebody to sit there quietly and be like, I hear you. And then stop talking. And most people start talking their own way out of shit. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, they start working through their own thing. But when you go to somebody, and like you said, I think that is a big one. You know, I'm expressing my trauma to you. And when we compare grief and compare trauma, that's not a good thing. Like, my hurt is more than your hurt. Maybe, I don't know. But to sit there and argue that doesn't help the hurt in front of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, what is the hurt right in front of me? How can I help you calm that down a little bit? Is that just sitting here? Dope. Would you like some advice? Dope. I've tried to get in the habit of saying that. Would you like some insight? Would you like some feedback? Because some people don't want that. They just need to sit in there for a minute and, you know, do the thing. But yeah, when it becomes like, oh, I got this going on, it's like, oh, well, let me tell you about fucking what I got going on, because it's bad. They fucked up my mocha. You know, that's the world we live in with our first world problems. But okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please, if you could do that. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up this year. We're excited about hopefully get out to some conventions, do some things like that. some other plans, little short, just a lot of fun content stuff that we have planned coming up. And yeah, man, we're just happy to have each and every one of you beautiful souls here with us. Everybody who hangs out here at the Horror Pop Extravaganza. Like I said, next week I will be here with Chelsey, CeeWolf Graves. I need to get a little push button. Do a wolf howl every time we do Chelsey's name for CeeWolf. But we'll be here talking about Dawn of the Dead. Till then, be nice to each other. Do a random act of kindness if you can. And yeah, I've been Pops Ghostly.
I've been Lil Duke Spooky.
And we'll talk to you next week. I love your freeze frames.
No! No! No!
Horror Pop Extravaganza.